social communication model, everyone is actually the sender as well as the receiver. They are equally contributing to a certain conversation, right? The tendencies in both conventional and social communication model are as follows. We will try to compare it. The conventional promotion model, basically it is more like a publication or a broadcasting, but the social communication model is more like a conversation where people can actually contribute. The conventional is like a lecture. On the other hand, the social model is more like a discussion. Now in a lecture, students may not be able to participate or maybe contribute something, but in a discussion everyone is free to contribute. Then the conventional promotion, it is more like it is intrusion, right? Whether you want it or not, but something will be imposed on you. But in the other case, the social model, the social communication model, obviously everything will be happening with your permission. Conventional promotional model, it is unidirectional. On the other hand, the social one is bidirectional, multidirectional. Information will be flowing from both sides. The conventional one would be one-to-many or mass audience, right? But on the other hand, the social one-to-one and many-to-many communication is going on at the same time. In the conventional promotion, it is more controlled, right? Here the purpose is to get more and more control over it. But on the social model, it is more influential, right? It is the first one was a control oriented. This is more influential. It has a low message frequency. On the other hand, the social model has a high message frequency. The conventional promotional would obviously take very few channels, but the social model, there are a lot of channels that could be used for social communication, right? Maybe the social media platforms, or maybe our groups where we meet every day. Information hoarding is being done in conventional promotion, while the social model is all based upon information sharing. In the first one, information is being hoarded, it is not being shared. But in the other one, the social model, information is being shared. Static and dynamic, obviously it is more dynamic, it can go to anywhere. Conventional promotion is always hierarchical, right? It has different steps which they need to follow, from top to bottom, bottom to top, whatever it is. But on the other hand, the social model is more egalitarian, right? There is no specific hierarchy in that. It is quite flexible. The conventional promotion is very much structured, it is predetermined. But on the other hand, the social model is amorphous, it does not have a certain structure, it can go anywhere, right? Then the conventional promotional model, it is more isolated in nature, and the social one is collaborative in nature. The conventional one is planned, the social model is more of a reactive model. It is not pre-planned, it will just react to whatever discussion or whatever activity is going on, right? The conventional promotion is resistive. It will always resist participation of any other party involved other than the sender, of course. But the social model is responsive, it responds to everyone, right? So this was a little about the social promotional model, right? Excuse me. Alright, the next important issue which must be considered whenever we are communicating, whenever you are communicating, maybe as professionals or maybe in your day-to-day lives, ethics are very important, right? Ethical and legal communication is very important, and we are going to go through it one by one. Let's see what they are. Now let's see what ethics are. Basically, ethics are accepted principles of conduct that govern the behavior within a society, right? Now ethical communication, obviously it includes all relevant information. It must be true in every sense, it must not be deceptive, right? So Communication ethics and the legal aspect of it is very important. Now, what are the possible problems, or what are the possible unethical practices which we can normally see while communicating, and which we should avoid, right? The first one is plagiarizing. You might have heard the word a lot of times. Plagiarism is basically presenting someone else's work, or maybe other creative product as your own, right? Presenting someone else's work or someone else's idea as your own, right? So this is what is plagiarism. When you do not own something, when there is a certain idea or a certain work, you are not actually the owner of it, someone else is, but you claim to be the owner of that. This is something known as plagiarism, and it is strictly unethical and strictly illegal, right? The next one is omitting essential information. Your audience must have all the information necessary to make an intelligent and objective decision, right? So it is your duty that you need to, maybe you are in a transaction process, maybe you are trying to make a sale, or maybe you are trying to convince your customer, your potential customer, to be loyal to your brand. So it is very important, it is very ethical that you must give him all information that is necessary for him to take that decision. Selective misquoting. Distorting or hiding the true intent of someone else's word is unethical, right? Sometimes what we do, that someone's statement, maybe it was used in a different context, and the original meaning was something else, the intended meaning, but what we do, we somehow get it out of that context and then reshape its meaning and then present it to other people. So this type of activity, it is unethical and it should not be done. Then we have misrepresenting numbers. Statistics or other data can be unethically manipulated by increasing or decreasing the numbers, exaggerating, altering statistics, or maybe omitting some numeric data, right? This is also unethical and should not be done. Distorting visual is pretty much common. We see these days that images can be manipulated in unethical ways, maybe such as altering photos to deceive audiences, or changing the scale of graphs or charts to exaggerate or conceal some facts, some differences, right? So this is also unethical and should not be done. Another important thing is privacy. We need to respect the privacy, right? Failing to respect the privacy of others, or failing to adequately protect information entrusted to your care, it can also be considered unethical and obviously illegal in some cases, right? So these were some basic ethical or legal issues which we can face, and they should not happen, right? So whenever you are trying to communicate, maybe in an organizational setup or maybe in your peer group, so these things should be taken care of. Now when we talk about ethics, there is a big code of ethics in the world of communication. Every organization have it. There are ethical audits as well. But the problem here is that ethics are vague, they are relative. Ethic is not an absolute term. Ethics change from place to place, from time to time, from situation to situation. So you cannot just make a rule book of ethics, right? So as I have said before, that ethics are relative, right? They change from situation to situation, from person to person. They are not absolute like the laws of physics, right? So there is a very simple formula for it. Whenever you are trying to figure out whether the communication which you are about to conduct is ethical or not, you need to ask yourself a few questions. They are very simple and they will help you to make your message ethical. Number one, have you defined the situation fairly and correctly? If you have, then okay, you can proceed to the next step. What is your intention in communicating this message? If you have a fair intention, if you have a good intention, then it's all right. If you have some ulterior motive in it, maybe you want to achieve some other motives, so then it might get questionable. The third is, what is the impact of this message on other people? Whether it will have a good impact or a bad impact. Will this message achieve the greatest possible good and doing the least possible harm? This is very important. Whenever you are communicating, you should take care of the fact that your message should be doing more good than causing people harm. Will the decision that seem ethical now will seem unethical in future? You should be futuristic here. Maybe a certain thing would seem very ethical to you initially, but maybe in future it might become something unethical. Are you comfortable with your decision? Do you feel comfortable? Would you be embarrassed if it were to be printed in the morning's newspaper? So these are the questions you ask yourself, and if you have good answers to all these questions, then probably you are going on the right track and you're not doing anything unethical. We have discussed ethics. Now let's talk about some legal communication, right? We have already discussed what are the possible legal and ethical problems, but how we need to ensure that everything is being legal. So there are some official documents, some official tools which are being used since a long time now to ensure legal communication, right? We have promotional communication, contracts, employment communication, intellectual property, financial reporting, defamation, and many other. These were just a few important to mention. Starting with the first one, the promotional communication. Promotion is related to marketing. Marketing specialists need to be aware of the many laws that govern the truth and accuracy in advertising, right? Most of the time there is a lot of falseness in advertising, and that is not ethical. These laws address such issues as product reviews written by bloggers nowadays who receive compensation from the companies involved. They often spread a false and deceptive information, right? False and deceptive advertising, misleading communications. Deceptive advertising, it is not something very big, it is something very common, and we see it every day. I'll give you an example that if you watch an advertisement of a certain burger shop, now the burger which we see in the image is always very magnificent and gorgeous, but when you go to that actual place and you actually go and see that burger, so it is a bit of a disappointment. So this is also something unethical, right? This is deceptive advertising. They have deceived you. So there are a lot of other ethical concerns in marketing and promotion. So there are laws which actually ensure that these things should not happen. Now, unfortunately, despite of these laws being there, such things are happening. But we can only hope that these institutions would one day take care of it on a good scale. Then we have contracts. A contract is a legal binding promise between two parties, in which one party makes a specified offer to the other party and the other party accepts it, right? So everything is written here. So contracts are fundamental to virtually every aspect of business, maybe from product sales to property rental or credit cards or loan or anything. Employment communication. Whenever we are working in an organization, there is a regular employment communication, mostly through emails nowadays. Now emails are always on the record, and there are many other tools as well. We have job descriptions and many other things like that, employment contracts and such things. So these are the legal documents, right? These are legal documents which are actually designed to protect the people from some ethical dilemmas in communication. or legal dilemmas. Intellectual property, in an age when instant global connectivity makes copying and retransmitting digital files effortless, the protection of intellectual property rights have become a very big concern. Starting from ourselves, we can download movies from torrents, maybe songs which are property of certain artists, whom technically they should be paid for, but we keep downloading them through different sources. So intellectual property rights is a problem, especially in our countries where the cyber intellectual property rights laws are not that much implemented. But in certain countries these laws do protect rights of peoples, and they do a good job. Financial reporting, whatever is the financial activity of any organization, it all should be recorded. It should be it is always recorded for bookkeeping, to be used in legal situations. Then defamation, negative comments about another party. It raises the possibility of defamation. The intentional communication of false statements that damage certain person's character or reputation. This is the definition of defamation, and obviously it is illegal, and there are laws against that. So whenever you are communicating, again I'll repeat, in an organizational context and in personal life, we should always take care of these legal and ethical concerns. That was it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in our live session. The quote of the day is in front of you. Read it, understand it, and implement it in your lives. Have a good day. Thank you.